Peter Greenberg's live global travel update is presented to you by it'seasy.com passport and visa services.
Hey everybody, happy Thursday wherever you happen to be. We're coming to you today from Fort Myers, Florida. I'll explain why in a second, but of course you can always get online and email me your questions. We'll get to them as fast as we can. Lots to discuss. I'll tell you why I'm in Fort Myers to start. About 7 months ago, I was here for my PBS television show doing a story on Fort Myers. And we left, have got everything in the can, everything was shot. And of course, 2 weeks later, Hurricane Ian comes rolling in and devastates not just Fort Myers, but all the islands around it. 80% of what we shot no longer existed. It was obliterated by the power of the storm. We decided we're going to come back and chronicle the rebuilding, the resilience, and the hope that's needed to put all the pieces together to get this vacation spot, which is one of the favorites on the beaches, back together again. It's a slow process, but you got to hand it to the rebuilding folks here. They are doing it. They're determined to do it. And after all, in a tourism-dependent economy, they don't have a choice. It is their revenue base. So we'll be reporting on that in the days and weeks to come. That's why I'm here. But I'm also here to talk to you about what's going on in the rest of the world. So let's do that. Even though it's not on the front pages anymore, it's on my front pages. So I'm going to bring it up. The situation in Turkey is still very deteriorating, if I can say that. It needs your help. So many ways to do it. Please go to our website, petergreenberg.com, for that comprehensive list of all the credible, completely viable relief organizations that have boots on the ground where you can follow the dollars, see where they go, getting relief, aid, supplies, and people to the areas where they're needed most. This is not a quick fix. The fixes here will be generational. That's how devastating the situation is. But you can help. Please go online to find out the different ways you can help. And in the meantime, remember, most of Turkey is still open. It's still operating. Istanbul is open. Western Turkey is open. The Mediterranean is open. An opportunity to vote with your wallets and help them there, because remember, without that revenue, the infrastructure collapses all over again. So please do whatever you can to help. And we'll be updating our website with more information as we get it. Some other stuff to report. We saw the bank failures that happened last weekend where the banks got shuttered. The feds came in, but there was much more to that story, because anytime you have a devastating or, a disruptive event, it affects demand. When it's a disruptive event like this that affects even the perception of the safety and security of your money, it affects discretionary spending, otherwise known as travel. And so what we're seeing right now, you may have noticed this week that airline stocks went into the dumper. A lot of hotel stocks took a hit. There's a reason for that. Wall Street's seeing the same numbers that I am. You're seeing a softening in demand as people are staying closer to home as they figure out how they're going to ride out this financial storm to see exactly what's going to happen with confidence in the banks. And as a result, we're seeing short-term and long-term reservations put a hold. They're softening. And now, nobody realized it was going to happen this way. We were hoping that prices would stabilize. Remember, airfares and hotel rates have been almost historic highs, but they have come down now, and they will be coming down over the next 10 days to 2 weeks, simply because of the law of supply and demand. Demand is softening, fares come down. Now, the good news about that, yes, there is some good news, is if you wanted to travel and couldn't afford it, now might be the buyer's market that allows you to do that. Will it last forever? Probably not. But it also applies to availability of frequent flyer awards. If demand drops, all of a sudden, frequent flyer ticket availability starts to open up. So remember what I've always said. You gain nothing by holding on to your frequent flyer miles. The airlines try to devalue them every chance they get. They also want to get rid of them, but they don't want to get rid of them at the expense of a revenue passenger. So if there's availability, now's the time to strike. Obviously, we'll be watching this very closely. Speaking of airfares, we've talked about the North Atlantic being highly competitive. Airlines like North Atlantic coming in with round-trip airfares between New York and London of $318. You cannot beat that. Actually, you might be able to beat it. Other airlines like Play from Iceland are coming in. And guess who just started service to Paris? They want to flex their muscles and become an international airline. That would be JetBlue. They're already flying to London. Their introductory round-trip airfares to Paris are $479 round-trip. You cannot beat that right now. So they won't stay forever, but as we start opening up these routes, we may have a lot of airlines canceling or reducing or eliminating routes in the U.S., but on long-haul overseas routes, they're adding them, right? You can now fly nonstop from Los Angeles to Tahiti on Delta. You can do New York to Auckland on Qantas. Even starting in June, Cincinnati to London on BA. So there are things available, and in the introductory phases, lower prices. Please remember that. Okay, now, a couple of other things happened this week. We talked about this before, the idea of families being able to sit together without paying for it. Everybody was expecting the DOT to come up with rulemaking, and in anticipation of that, a number of airlines tried to jump the gun and say, okay, we're doing it now. Well, United's done it. Southwest says they're doing it. A few other airlines are coming on board saying we're going to allow people who are traveling with families not to have to pay to sit together. That's great. But we were all expecting the U.S. DOT to come up with rulemaking. Instead, what have they done? They're suggesting legislation for Congress to pass to make it a law. With all due respect, that's CYA time. No, guys, we don't want to wait 9 years for legislation in Congress. Nothing ever gets out of the committee. And so the bottom line is we have to be able to understand the power of DOT rulemaking. And the power of DOT rulemaking is they can do it. Remember the tarmac delay rule? The tarmac delay rule was on board, for like the last 12 years, and it works. It works. And in fact, the penalties and the financial consequences are severe. So guess how many delays they've been since the tarmac delay rule came into effect in 2011? Not that many. We need the DOT to make this a rule, which they can get done very quickly, as opposed to waiting for Congress to let it come out of committee. Because if history is any indication, the last 20 years, and I'm not exaggerating, every consumer protection piece of legislation that was ever introduced for passenger rights or to improve passenger rights never got out of committee. It never got voted on, right? And the stuff that did get voted on was ignored. Do you remember the Congress in 2018 ordered the FAA to come up with a new definition of what constitutes a safe airline seat? Not in terms of your comfort, that's another issue. One that you could safely evacuate in the event of an emergency. What did the FAA do? They ignored them. And finally, they got sued. And for reasons that still escape me, a federal appeals court ruled that the plaintiffs in this case didn't make a strong enough case that there was a safety implication here about a safe seat. And so the FAA is not mandated to do it again. Now's the time to talk to your elected representatives. They have to fly in those planes too, because we do not have, we do not have what I consider to be airline seats that are uniformly measured and can actually help you to get out of a plane in the event of an emergency, a survivable emergency. So that's what's going on there. So another reason why we need the DOT in their power to do their rulemaking, it will make a big difference. Okay, one more thing I'm going to throw out there, because this is going to be a big issue when it happens in the US. It's already starting in the European Union areas because 5G technology is in place over there. And for the first time ever, you don't have to go to airplane mode on your phone because there is no technical or safety problem anymore with operating your cell phones at 35,000 feet to make phone calls. Anybody see a problem with that? Whoops. Yeah, nothing's more annoying than the person next to you screaming into their phone, talking to their mom. So the European Union deadline for all of this to be available for everybody is June 23rd. That's when airlines will be allowed to make 5G technology available on the flight, which means phone calls. Let's see what happens there, because right after that, it's coming back across the Atlantic and will be an issue with us as well. So we will be watching that space. All right, let's go quickly to some people here who want to say hi to me, and then we'll answer some questions. Hello to Jim and Harriet. They always say hi. And from the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Okay. Hello from Las Vegas to Valerie. Paul, hello from sunny Ashland, Virginia. Nice to talk to you guys. Okay. A question from Harriet and Jim. In this present day travel environment, what have been your three biggest challenges? Okay. And we continue to support the efforts in Eastern Turkey. Thank you very much for doing that. My three biggest challenges have been the same challenges I've had since I started flying. Transparency, full disclosure, and the truth. The airlines treat us on a need-to-know basis. If we need to know, they don't even tell us. We got to fix this. We got to fix this. And we got to set precedent for it. Those are the three challenges. So one of the reasons why I do this show, one of the reasons I do my job is to get through to the truth and let you know what you need to know, the questions you need to ask so you don't get abused. And by the way, the person you need to ask the questions to. Remember my mantra, you never take a no from somebody who's not empowered to give you a yes. And the biggest problem with the airlines now is their frontline people are not even empowered to give you a yes. They're only empowered to tell you what you can't do. That is not my definition of travel. So my goal is to find that person who can give me a yes. And by the way, if that person gives me a no, then it really is no. But until I get the person who can give me a yes to tell me either yes or no, I am not accepting no from anybody else, and neither should you. And you don't have to go to war on this. Just be polite and go up the chain of command. They don't want you to, but guess what? That's what I do. Hopefully I'm helping you. Okay, hello from Morocco. All right. And okay, hello from New Jersey to Pauline. Hello from Tanzania, all our friends in Tanzania. Michael Ellis, hello from Florida. Tammy's saying hello from overcast, rainy San Diego. It's been doing nothing but rain in Southern California. Joy says hello. Patty's saying hello from Kentucky. We'll be in Kentucky pretty soon, Patty. Hello from Ohio from Michael. And heading to Fort Myers tomorrow for vacation. Well, you know what? The beaches will not be crowded. And Fort Myers is known for their beaches, so you'll have a great time. And a lot of the restaurants have reopened, so you'll be in good shape. Wendy's saying hello from New Jersey. Joy says, I'm going to Cancun June 6th to 11th. When should I purchase airline tickets? Now, right? You're within that 54-day period just about, so do it. And of course, Crush Chris is saying hi from Uganda. Okay. Oh, I gotta say something right now. I mean, I got angry this week with all the State Department advisories about Mexico for spring break. Look, we know what happened in northeastern Mexico with the 4 Americans kidnapped, 2 of them killed. Okay, we know that. All right. We also know the circumstances under which it happened. And in those areas of northeastern Mexico, those are not vacation destinations for Americans. No, the vacation destinations for Americans are Cozumel and Cancun and Puerto Vallarta and Los Cabos and many more, right? But the State Department's issuing these warnings. Remember the 4-level warnings? And everybody thinks, oh, I shouldn't go to Mexico. Look, I'm going to give the State Department the benefit of the doubt that they're being well-intentioned here. But that doesn't count when you're also being misleading, right? You're painting with too broad a brush. If there's a riot in Cincinnati, does that mean I can't go to Cleveland? Of course not, right? If there's a hurricane in Fort Myers, does that mean I can't go to Tampa? Of course not. We need to get much more information in a detailed way so that we can make informed, intelligent choices about our travel decisions. And the State Department, unfortunately, is embracing the 4-letter word that starts with F, otherwise known as fear. I'm not being cavalier here. I know how many people have been killed in Mexico, over 65,000. But that's gang violence against other gangs. Tourists have been off limits with very, very few exceptions. And I'll take those odds. Now, would I go to Nuevo Laredo or Ciudad Juarez right now for my vacation? Probably not. How about definitely not? But that's not what we're talking about here. People are always saying to me, oh, what are your alternatives to Mexico since I can't go? What do you mean you can't go? Of course you can go. You use the same principles of common sense and situational awareness that you use anywhere else, as in San Diego, right? Are there places in San Diego you wouldn't go? I bet there are. Are there places in Wyoming you wouldn't go? I bet there are. If you use the same metrics the State Department is using to issue warnings to every city in America, you would never leave your house. I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating. So please, common sense needs to prevail. Part of the other stuff that I do for you guys. You need to do that, all right? Now, earlier this week, I asked you to give me your pet peeves about restaurants. We've done cruise lines. We've done hotels. Today, it's restaurants. And let's see what you said. You had a lot of them. My friend Cable said, too loud. Okay, well, that's what happens when you're dining in the neighborhood. Michael says, when the waiter or waitress takes your credit card away from the table to go run your payment, in Europe, this practice is illegal. They actually bring the machine to your table. He's right. He's absolutely right. You know what my crazy part is at restaurants now? Because we have new technology, when they give you your check to sign, they're suggesting the tip. In many cases, it's pre-planned on the screen. That's not the concept of tipping. Same thing that happens in taxis. You swipe your card to pay the thing, and the first thing that pops up is 25% tip. Are you kidding me? No way. My wife, sometimes it's because of convenience, I'll hit the 25%. My wife slaps me when I do that. No, every case by case example, and please don't force me to override a system. It's not fair. All right. Okay. Oh, here's one from Stephen. It says, portions are too large. Where are you eating? Lisa says, the new trend of not providing menus, just a QR code on the table. I don't want to be on my phone while dining out. I hate QR codes. Look, I'm old school, right? I read a newspaper every day. I hold it in my hand. I want to read the menu in my hand every day. By the way, we're going to do another piece on my show, The Travel Detective, on menu psychology. That's one of my pet peeves. That's right. Restaurants that have figured out your gazing patterns, speaking of menus, and are placing items in strategic positions to give you more of a want to buy those higher priced items. So stick around. Watch this on The Travel Detective coming up, or on the radio show. We'll talk about it as well. Menu psychology. It's pretty crazy. But my big pet peeve is what I call the terrible twos, right? We had it right before the pandemic. Then during the pandemic, they had to do social distancing. Restaurants were beginning to look the way restaurants should have looked, right? Where you weren't like next to the table. When I say the terrible twos, I'm talking about the two top tables where you're sitting 6 inches away from another couple you don't know, and whether you like it or not, you're engaged in their conversation. This is not fine dining for me. This is not a relaxing dinner for me. I don't have any secrets I'm trying to hide. I just like to have a little space to think and enjoy my dinner time companion. So I hate terrible twos. Now, here's what I'm going to say about that. And people who run restaurants hate me for this. I get it. I never make a reservation for two. I always make a reservation for three, because then they can't sit me at a terrible two. They have to sit me at a four top where I have a little bit more space. And any restaurant that wants to charge me a little bit of a premium for that, I'll pay it. But under no circumstances do I want to sit at a two top. It's cruel and unusual punishment. That's my pet peeve. All right. Another person, Laura, says the portions are too large. Okay. And I love this from Mary Jo. I hate it when I go to a fine dining restaurant and ask a question about the food, such as how is it prepared or what's in the sauce, and they have no idea. That is not fine dining. Okay. Some people complained about cleanliness, but that's not a new complaint. Another person complained that it was too loud. Here's one from Bob. His pet peeve is when a wait person asks that question that should never be asked when taking cash as payment for a meal. Would you like change? That's as bad as the pre-planned tip. I'm agreeing with you on that. Lane says lack of decent plant-based options. You have a point. I'm a pescatarian, so I'm much more inclined to go a plant-based option, although you can't pay me to eat an Impossible Burger. I'm sorry. They suck. I can't do it. Maybe it's my psychology about it, but I dream of the days I used to live on cheeseburgers, and I haven't had meat since 2008. So I'm hanging in, but I do miss my burgers. Okay. Waiting so long to get seated. We understand about that. Too little fresh food. Here's one from Michelle. I want them to thank me for dining at their restaurant. That goes a long way. Okay. Evelyn says they charge a fee for using a credit card. Why are they still adding? Nobody should charge a fee for using a credit card. You build it into the menu price. I went to a restaurant recently where they put a piece of paper on top of the menu saying, oh, by the way, if you want bread, it's $1.23. What? And this is a fine dining restaurant. Add it to the menu price. Don't make me think I'm on Spirit Airlines. Don't nickel and dime me. I went to that restaurant because I didn't want to be nickel and dimed. I was prepared, that's psychology again, to pay more. So charge me more to cover your cost of bread. I get it. It's tough being in the restaurant business. But don't tell me, oh, by the way, we're adding $1.23. I don't even know that. Okay, that's my third pet peeve. Okay. Oh, Colleen says, I can't think of even one pet peeve. I love them all. The dive bars with tapas, the upscale eateries with micro portion food, the postage stamp size Hunan hotspots, the Turkish kebab houses, the Borscht Mobile. And I especially love all the Irish pubs. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day one day early to you. Okay. We have so much more to do that. I'll come back to that in a little bit, but I just wanted to share some of your pet peeves. Oh, and Wendy wants to know, what restaurant am I sitting in? Believe it or not, I'm in Fort Myers. I'm at Sleepy Joe's. No, I'm not Sleepy Joe's. I'm at Shoeless Joe's. Sleepy Joe's next door. It's a sports bar here in one of the hotels here in Fort Myers because, quite frankly, we're shooting our show around here. We had a chance to come in here and borrow their Wi-Fi. That's why we're here. That's where all the helmets are up there. Sleepy Joe's. Shoeless Joe's. Okay. Okay. Colleen says, I'm in Tucson, but happy to learn that miracles are happening in Turkey's Hatay area, where a sweet Doberman and her 3 newborn pups were just rescued from the rubble. Think about that. The earthquake was like a month ago. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Valerie says, I'm still traveling to Mexico. Not a problem. Just common sense. All right. Keep going here. All right. Terry, nice to talk to you today. Oh, Wendy says, Impossible Burgers do suck. Yes. Okay. Now, a few more things we got to get to today. Remember my story a couple of weeks ago? One of the big pet peeves in the airline business of people not getting their refunds or getting useless vouchers, credits, and companion tickets? Well, me too. And I told you that I had all these things that I had accumulated in 2020, 21, and 22 that I couldn't use them in 2020 for obvious reasons. In 2021, they weren't available, even though they were still valid. And in 2022, every plane was full and I couldn't use them. So what did Delta do? They expired them last month, actually the end of January. So I write to Delta saying, guys, what's the point of issuing worthless vouchers and then expiring them anyway? It's like the curse of the draconian gift cards. And what's the point of a loyalty program that doesn't reward you for your loyalty? And you know what the answer I got was from Delta? Sorry, because we can. Well, that's not going to get you very far in terms of loyalty. And right now, anybody who's watching me now, who's been given a gift card or a voucher or a companion ticket or a credit, I'll make you a bet you haven't been able to use it, or you haven't been able to use it when you wanted to or where you wanted to go. So what's the point? At a certain point, we've got to come full circle on the frequent flyer programs to basically hold the airlines accountable for the reason they started the programs in the first place, to reward you for your loyalty. What's the point of a loyalty program that doesn't do that, right? And now it's expanded into their lounges where you can't even get in and you're a member. This is nuts. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a subject I'm going to forget. I'm going to stay on it. You should stay on it as well. You get to vote with your wallets here. And if you vote with your wallets, maybe something good happens, right? I mean, it's just not good. And it's a pattern that continues to repeat because, as Delta said to me, because we can. That doesn't cut it for me. All right, let's keep going down here and talk. Oh, Valerie's saying hello from Las Vegas. Okay. Now, bottom line, by the way, is you're going to see, again, remember this, airfares coming down, not drastically, but between 10 and 15%. Same thing with availability of frequent flyer awards going up. But the catch is that the airlines might increase the mileage levels needed to redeem them. So watch it carefully and check it. There's an interesting website called point.me, which will actually manage your frequent flyer miles for you and let you know the best time to strike. Because it's like basic air traffic control time. It's tough for anybody to manage all this, especially if you're a member of more than one program, which many of you are, because you were enticed to do it, and you did it. So there you go. Now, remember what I talked about consumer credit card debt? Well, this is what I talked about before we had the bank failures. Consumer credit card debt is just about $1 trillion. Remember, that's unsecured credit. That's unsecured credit that is amassing interest of between 24 and 28% compounded. So in the months of April, May, and June, do not be surprised to see the number of credit card defaults start to rise, maybe even skyrocket. Now, at 24 to 28%, a lot of banks can tolerate those losses because they're making so much more on the interest that we're paying. But you will reach the point of diminishing returns, so get ready. Between possible inflation, consumer credit card debt, and now some real confidence-shaking moves in the banking industry, we may be in for a little bit of a rough ride. So we will follow that for you as well. Let's now talk about the photo of the week. Let's go to it. Anybody want to guess where this is? It's a very cool place and one that makes you think. I've been there. I hope you have too. I'll tell you the winner first. That's Megan Brown, and this is what she writes. I'm fortunate to be an expat in Japan. We have been taking advantage of living abroad by traveling this stunning country. This winter, we visited Hiroshima and toured the Peace Memorial Park and Museum. After an emotional visit, we took a beautiful riverboat to Miwajimaguchi and the short ferry ride to Miyajima to see the floating Torii Gate. And there it is, lit up at night. This serene shot was the best possible ending after visiting a powerful museum. Let me tell you about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Do you know that it's a requirement for every Japanese school child to visit one or both of those memorials? Because it's inherent now in the educational system of Japan to teach Hiroshima and Nagasaki so that never happens again. Way back in 1984, I took my mom on a trip around the world, and we sailed into Nagasaki, and we met an atom bomb survivor who took us and told us her story in that memorial. It was one of the more emotional days I've ever spent, and my mom became pen pals with her, and they continued their correspondence until she died. But she was actually a living memorial to what happened in 1945, and something that I hope the rest of the world can come and see. Remember, if you can't remember the past, you're doomed to repeat it. So thank you, Megan Brown, for that photo. We really, really appreciate it. And if you think you've got a photo of the week that qualifies, you know what to do. Send it in to us, peter@petergreenberg.com. And if we like it, it goes right up there with Megan's. A couple of housekeeping notes. Tomorrow is the premiere of our brand new 1-hour special in our Hidden series called Hidden Ireland. And here's a sneak peek. While Dublin is a modestly sized capital city with a population of roughly 500,000, on certain days, you wouldn't know it, 1/5 of Dublin's residents can be found here.
Peter, welcome to Croke Park. The capacity of this stadium is 82,300 people.
And you fill it?
We'll fill this absolutely full to the gills.
Hey guys.
How you doing?
Today I'm getting a crash course in hurling from Dublin players Dara and Connor. And we're starting with the basics. So, this is called?
It's called a hurl. We call it a hurl.
It's a hurl.
A hurl, yeah.
All right, let me guess. This is not a ball?
No, they call that a slitter.
A slitter?
Yeah, it's Irish.
Irish.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to hit the slitter with the hurl.
That's the idea, yeah. That's the
Starting to
idea.
get it now.
All right, shall we try this? Oh. I got noise. A note about hurling, they fill that stadium. None of the players even get paid, and they're there. And it's a pretty crazy sport. I mean, you're going to get hit with the ball if you don't hit the ball, and it can hurt. Anyway, I survived, all part of Hidden Ireland. You know our mantra, no gift shop, no tour buses, no brochures, no guidebooks. Just amazing experiences and destinations that I'm going to show you that are all accessible to you, even if not many people know about them. So check it out. Premieres tomorrow on many PBS stations. If you can't find it, it also streams on Amazon Prime and Apple TV+. It joins our other hidden series, also on Amazon and Apple TV, ranging from Hidden Turkey, Hidden Poland, Hidden Canary Islands, and Hidden Saudi Arabia. And next month, we're premiering Hidden Aegean. So I hope you get a chance to watch. Let's scroll down really quickly here. And, yep. Corky just Miyajima, you're right. Nicely done. Gail says, loyalty means nothing anymore. It's just a way of tracking people. Well, it's worse than that, Gail. The airlines make more money from their frequent flyer programs than they make from operating as airlines. In fact, if the airlines could figure out how not to fly and just operate the frequent flyer programs, they would. It's their biggest cash cow. Seriously. I mean, their frequent flyer programs are valued in excess of $10 billion each. And remember, every year, Delta Airlines, American, and United, just to give you some examples, are getting checks in the billions of dollars from American Express for Delta, Citibank for American, Southwest and Chase getting, and Southwest and United getting checks from Chase to buy their miles at about 1.2 cents a mile, knowing full well they'll never be redeemed. The redemption levels are averaging only about 8%. Mafia loan sharks don't get this rate of return. So we're going to watch this space carefully, especially if the demand continues to drop in the wake of the bank failures. All right, now we got to go back and shoot the rest of our show as they rebuild Fort Myers. Again, we'll see you on the radio this Saturday. We're coming from Denver, and I hope you get a chance to join us. In fact, my guest will be the governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, who has a few very interesting things to say about how he spends his free time. I think you'll enjoy that. And of course, if you can't find it in your market, we stream it live right on petergreenberg.com from 10:05 in the morning till 1 p.m. Eastern time. Please check it out. Again, please be safe. Please travel intelligently. And I'll see you next week from another location somewhere around the world. Bye, everybody.
Peter Greenberg's live global travel update is presented to you by itseasy.com passport and visa services.